The Galactic Coalition had welcomed humanity only 6 months ago, and in that short time most species had already made up their minds. Humans were polite, curious, and surprisingly emotional, but they were also considered weak. Their bodies were soft compared to armored worlds, their lifespans were short compared to ancient races, and their technology was young. In quiet diplomatic rooms and crowded trade ports, the same judgment was repeated again and again. Humanity was interesting, but not important. Elias Vorn had heard those opinions many times, though never directly. He worked as a cargo engineer on a mid-range transport vessel that moved supplies between Coalition stations. His job was simple. He checked seals, balanced weight loads, repaired worn conduits, and kept the engines running smoothly. No one expected greatness from a cargo engineer, and Elias was comfortable with that. He preferred quiet routines, steady work, and long moments staring at distant stars through maintenance windows. On the day everything changed, the ship had arrived at a medical exchange station orbiting a pale blue gas giant. The station was famous for its multi-species hospital, where hundreds of alien doctors studied biology from across the galaxy. To Elias, it looked like a floating ring of silver light, calm and harmless. The problem began deep inside the cargo deck. A routine power fluctuation spread through the lower conduits. Normally, this was nothing serious, just a small imbalance in energy flow. Elias moved through the narrow corridor with a repair kit in his hand, already planning the fix. He opened a panel, checked the readings, and reached inside to adjust a damaged regulator. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the regulator burst in a flash of heat and light. Emergency fields formed instantly, stopping the damage from spreading. But the shockwave still threw Elias backward. His head struck the metal floor, and the world turned dark. Crew members found him minutes later. He was breathing, but weak. Station medics arrived quickly and carried him through bright corridors filled with unfamiliar shapes and soft glowing symbols. Voices spoke in languages he could not understand. Machines hummed with careful precision. Elias never saw any of it. He remained unconscious as he was placed inside a diagnostic chamber in one of the Coalition's most advanced medical wings. The chamber belonged to Dr. Syrinx, a genetic specialist whose species measured age in centuries. Syrinx had studied thousands of life forms and believed very little could surprise him anymore. At first, the human patient seemed ordinary. Minor internal injuries, cellular stress, neural shock, all consistent with an industrial accident. Syrinx prepared a standard recovery treatment and activated a full biological scan only because Coalition protocol required complete records for new member species. The scan began as a soft field of blue light moving slowly across Elias's body. Streams of data formed in the air, arranging themselves into complex patterns of symbols only trained specialists could read. Syrinx watched with calm attention. Then he stopped breathing. The data did not match any known biological structure in the Coalition archives. At first, he assumed a translation error. He reset the system and ran the scan again. The same result appeared. Human DNA contained layered sequences far older than the species itself should possess. Some segments were inactive, almost hidden, yet perfectly preserved. Others showed signs of adaptive repair mechanisms far beyond what primitive biology could produce. Syrinx leaned closer to the floating display, his long fingers moving slowly through the light as he expanded the data. He searched for corruption, mutation, or contamination. He found none. Instead, he found design. Perfectly ordered structures rested inside the genome like sealed doors waiting to open. Protective redundancies shielded vital organs in ways that should not exist in a naturally evolved mammal. Even damaged cells were already attempting controlled repair, far faster than expected. "This is impossible," he said quietly, though no one else was in the room. He checked the patient record again to confirm the species classification. Human. Recently spacefaring. biologically unremarkable. The contradiction made no sense. Cyrix activated a deeper scan level, one rarely used except for ancient or unknown organisms. The chamber lights dimmed as energy shifted into the analysis field. New layers of information unfolded slowly, like a hidden text revealing itself one symbol at a time. What he saw next forced him to step back. Buried within the deepest genetic code were dormant patterns matching fragments found only in forbidden historical archives. Those fragments were connected to a mystery older than the Coalition itself, records of a civilization that had vanished before most current species had even developed language. The precursors. Officially, very little was known about them. Unofficially, scientists whispered that the precursors had shaped early galactic history and possibly created life on multiple worlds. Every confirmed trace of their work had disappeared millions of years ago. Until now. Cyrix's mind moved carefully, refusing to jump to conclusions. One patient could not rewrite history. Whiling! There had to be another explanation. He initiated a molecular time analysis. The results confirmed the impossible truth. Portions of human DNA were older than Earth's complex life should be, not contaminated, not artificial additions. They were integrated completely as if humanity had always carried them. A slow unease spread through Cyrix's thoughts. If this discovery became public without verification, it could create panic across the Coalition. Political leaders feared anything connected to precursor technology. Entire wars had begun over far smaller mysteries. He looked at the unconscious human lying peacefully inside the chamber. Elias Vorn appeared fragile, almost ordinary, unaware of the storm forming around his existence. Cyrix felt something unfamiliar. Hesitation. Medical ethics demanded transparency. Scientific duty demanded reporting anomalies, but instinct, sharpened by centuries of experience, whispered caution. He sealed the room's external data channels. Only a private research flag remained active, hidden within routine medical records. The classification he selected had not been used in generations, level black anomaly, reserved for discoveries that could threaten galactic stability. The system accepted the command silently. Cyrix stood motionless for a long moment, listening to the quiet rhythm of the human's heartbeat through the monitoring field. It was steady, calm, completely unaware that its simple pattern might carry secrets older than stars mapped by modern civilization. Outside the chamber, the hospital continued its normal flow. Patients arrived, doctors consulted. Lights shifted between day and night cycles. No alarms sounded. No warning spread. Yet something had already changed, because knowledge, once discovered, could not truly remain hidden. Far above the medical wing, automated archive systems quietly processed Cyrix's restricted flag. Security protocols awakened in distant servers. Encrypted signals prepared themselves for transmission to Coalition oversight authorities, who monitored all level black events. The message had not yet been sent, but it would be. Inside the chamber, Elias stirred slightly for the first time since the accident. His fingers moved a fraction, responding to distant dreams shaped by memory and instinct. The monitoring field adjusted automatically, recording small neural activity increases. Cyrix noticed immediately. He watched the readings with intense focus, wondering whether awakening might trigger further genetic responses. Some dormant sequences showed faint energy patterns, almost like sleeping systems sensing change. For the first time in centuries, the ancient doctor felt uncertainty about what would happen next. He had spent lifetimes believing the galaxy was understood, that every mystery had limits, every species a place in predictable order. Now, a single injured cargo engineer threatened that certainty. Cyrix lowered himself into a resting position beside the chamber, unwilling to leave. Questions filled his thoughts faster than he could organize them. If humans carried precursor design, why had it remained hidden? Why create a species that appeared weak? And most troubling of all, What purpose would reveal itself when the hidden doors inside their DNA finally opened? The human's breathing remained slow and peaceful, offering no answers. Hours passed in silence, broken only by soft machine tones. Beyond the station's transparent outer walls, the pale gas giant turned slowly, reflecting distant starlight in gentle waves of color. To anyone watching from afar, the scene would appear calm, ordinary, safe. But deep within one quiet medical chamber, the first sign of a forgotten design had already been found, and the galaxy, though it did not yet know it, had just begun to change. The next cycle began with silence that felt heavier than before. Dr. Sirix had not moved far from the chamber, though several standard hours had passed. He reviewed the scan results again and again, searching for even the smallest mistake. Each time, the answer remained the same. The human genome carried structures that should not exist in any young species. He finally opened a secure internal channel and sent a limited notice to the station's senior medical council. The message was careful and controlled. It mentioned an unusual genetic irregularity in a human patient and requested quiet observation. He did not include the deeper precursor markers. Not yet. Even writing the possibility felt dangerous. Responses arrived slowly. Curiosity, mild concern. Nothing more. To most coalition doctors, humanity was still a biological footnote. Serix almost envied their ignorance. Inside the chamber, Elias's neural activity continued to rise in small, steady patterns. His body temperature stabilized faster than predicted. Damaged tissue showed signs of repair that no treatment had triggered. The machines recorded everything, storing each detail in sealed memory. Several hours later, Elias opened his eyes. At first, he saw only soft blue light and blurred shapes. His thoughts felt distant, like echoes traveling through water. He tried to move and felt weakness, but not pain. That absence confused him more than injury would have. Sirix leaned closer, watching carefully. "Remain still," he said in slow, translated human speech. "You are safe," Elias focused on the voice. The figure beside him was tall and unfamiliar, with smooth, pale skin and dark, reflective eyes. Fear should have come, yet it did not. Instead, he felt a strange calm, as if his mind understood the situation before emotion could react. "What happened?" Elias asked quietly. "You experienced an energy accident," Serix replied. "Your recovery is proceeding." The words were simple, but Serix studied every reaction. Human pupils adjusted quickly, breathing remained steady, no panic response. It was unusual. Elias closed his eyes again, but sleep did not return. Thoughts moved faster than he expected. Memories of the cargo deck appeared with sharp clarity. He could recall the exact sound of the regulator before it failed, the angle of the corridor lights, even the faint vibration under his boots. Such detail should have faded. Instead, it felt perfectly preserved. He opened his eyes once more. The chamber ceiling contained symbols he had never seen before, yet something in his mind tried to understand them. Not fully. Just a quiet sense of meaning waiting nearby. Serix noticed the direction of his gaze. "Do the markings confuse you?"
"I don't know," Elias said. "They feel familiar, but that's impossible."
Serix felt a slow tension form inside his thoughts. Activation. Very small, but present. He adjusted the monitoring field without explaining why. Outside the sealed room, quiet signals finally reached higher coalition systems. The restricted level black flag could not remain hidden forever. Automated oversight required review. Deep within distant data networks, security intelligences began analyzing the medical record. Priority levels shifted. Encrypted alerts prepared for transmission toward Coalition Intelligence Command. Back in the chamber, Elias carefully lifted one hand. The movement was weak, but controlled. Muscles responded smoothly, far sooner than normal recovery would allow. You should still be unable to move, Syrinx said before he could stop himself. Elias looked at his own hand, equally surprised. I feel fine, just tired. That answer increased Syrinx's concern. Rapid stabilization matched the dormant repair sequences in the genome. If those systems were beginning to function, further changes might follow. He needed more time and silence. But the galaxy rarely allowed either. Without warning, the chamber door signaled an external access request. Only high authority could interrupt a sealed medical isolation. Syrinx did not respond immediately. He already knew what waited outside. A calm, artificial voice spoke through the room.
Dr. Syrinx, Coalition Intelligence requests entry.
Authorization verified. Elias turned his head slowly. Is something wrong? Syrinx answered with careful neutrality. Additional observers have arrived. The door opened. 3 figures entered, each wearing the dark formal markings of Coalition Intelligence. Their species were different, chosen to represent political balance, yet their expressions shared the same controlled focus. They had come for answers. Syrinx moved slightly to block their full view of the chamber, a subtle gesture that did not go unnoticed. The patient is stable, he said. Investigation is incomplete. One of the officials stepped forward. A level black classification was issued. Incomplete data is no longer acceptable.
So,
Silence followed. Elias watched the exchange without understanding the words fully, yet tension in the room felt clear. His heartbeat remained calm. Strangely calm? As Syrinx realized secrecy had ended. He transferred a portion of the genetic scan to the official's portable display. Not everything, only enough to justify concern. They studied the symbols for several long moments. One of them whispered, "Precursor alignment." Another replied, "Probability, non-zero."
That single answer changed the air inside the room.
All 3 officials looked at Elias differently now, not as an injured worker, but as an unknown variable capable of altering history. Elias felt the shift even without full translation. "Someone want to explain what's happening?" he asked. No one answered immediately, because none of them truly knew. Far away, beyond the quiet orbit of the medical station, Coalition deep space sensors detected an unrelated anomaly forming near a distant star cluster. Energy readings rose beyond safe limits. Automated systems flagged the event for later review. For now, attention remained fixed on a single human in a hospital chamber. Syrinx understood the danger growing in every direction. Scientific discovery had already become political reality. Soon, it could become fear. And fear, in galactic history, rarely ended peacefully. He looked once more at Elias Vorn, cargo engineer, ordinary citizen, possible carrier of a forgotten design, and felt the weight of a question that had no safe answer. If humanity had been created for a purpose, was that purpose about to begin? Time did not feel normal inside the medical wing after the intelligence officials arrived. Every movement became careful. Every word carried weight. The quiet rhythm of machines continued. But the meaning of the room had changed forever. Elias sensed it clearly. No one treated him like a simple accident patient anymore. The officials stood at a measured distance, studying him as if he were both fragile and dangerous at the same time. He did not understand why, and that uncertainty felt heavier than fear. Dr. Syrinx remained closest to the chamber, outwardly calm, inwardly divided. His duty to knowledge pulled one way. His instinct to protect balance pulled another. Across centuries of life, he had learned that truth revealed too quickly could destroy more than ignorance ever had. "Your recovery rate is unusual," Syrinx said gently, choosing honesty without detail. Elias gave a small, tired smile. "I always healed fast as a kid. Nothing special." But even as he spoke, he knew this felt different. His body felt organized, quietly, strong. The weakness from the accident was fading minute by minute, not hour by hour. Thoughts moved with sharp clarity, like clean air after a storm. One of the intelligence observers activated a soft scanning field from outside the chamber. Unlike medical light, this field searched for energy patterns, hidden signals, anything that might explain the impossible genome. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then the instruments detected a faint internal response from Elias's nervous system. Not harmful, not aggressive, simply active, like a system waking from deep sleep. The observers exchanged silent looks. Elias felt only a brief warmth behind his eyes, gone as quickly as it came. "Did you do something?" he asked. "No," Cyrix answered quietly. "You did." Before anyone could speak again, a station-wide signal pulsed through the medical wing. Not an alarm. Something deeper. Priority communication from Coalition Central Command. Even the intelligence officials stiffened in surprise. Messages at that level were rare and never meaningless. One official stepped aside to receive the transmission. Colors from the holographic display reflected across his face as he read. Calm control faded into visible concern.
What is it?
Another asked. The answer came slowly. A stellar collapse event has begun near the inner coalition routes. Silence filled the room. Cyrix felt cold understanding settle into place. Such collapses were among the most feared natural disasters in known space. Advanced civilizations could predict them, sometimes avoid them, but never stop them. Entire systems could vanish in expanding waves of radiation and gravity. How long? Cyrix asked, uncertain. Acceleration is faster than models predicted. And evacuation? Already failing in outer regions. The words felt heavy, final. Elias listened without fully grasping the scale, yet emotion reached him before logic. People were in danger. Entire worlds, maybe. A quiet pressure formed inside his chest, not panic, not despair, but a strong need to act, even without knowing how. He pushed himself upright inside the chamber. This time, no weakness stopped him. Medical restraints designed to protect injured patients released automatically because his vital signs now read as stable. The machines accepted a truth the observers were still struggling to believe. Cyrix watched in silence. Recovery had crossed into transformation. Though still gentle, still human. Elias swung his feet to the chamber floor. Cool metal touched his skin, solid and real. He stood slowly. No pain came. One intelligence officer stepped forward in alarm. He should not be mobile. Cyrix answered without looking away from Elias. And yet he is. Elias steadied himself, then looked around the room with new focus. Details appeared naturally, the position of exits, the rhythm of station power through the walls, even emotional tension between the observers. He did not know how he sensed these things. He only knew they felt true. "What can I do to help?" he asked. The question surprised everyone. "You do not understand the scale of this disaster," an observer said carefully. "Maybe not," Elias replied, "but people are in danger, so tell me anyway." Simple words, simple intent. Yet something in the room shifted again, softer this time. Cyrix studied the human closely. Ancient genetic doors were not opening with violence or dominance. They were opening with empathy, awareness, and quiet resolve. That detail felt more important than any physical change. Another transmission arrived, harsher than before. Energy projections from the collapsing star were evolving in impossible patterns. Patterns disturbingly similar to theoretical precursor technology recorded in forbidden archives. The connection formed instantly in Cyrix's mind. Precursor genome, precursor energy behavior, precursor disaster. History was not repeating. It was continuing. He turned slowly toward Ialus, understanding growing with terrifying clarity. If the ancient civilization had designed humanity for survival beyond galactic collapse, then moments like this were exactly why. But realization alone solved nothing. Coalition Command began issuing emergency directives across nearby sectors. Defensive fleets mobilized even though they could not fight a star. Scientists searched for impossible solutions because ordinary ones had already failed. Inside the medical chamber, silence returned, thick with decision. Elias felt that decision forming before anyone spoke. A direction pulling at him, distant yet certain, like memory without images. Somewhere in the chaos of the collapsing region, something waited. Not calling with sound, but with recognition. He looked at Syrinx. There's something out there, isn't there? The ancient doctor did not ask how Elias sensed it. Yes, he said quietly. We believe there may be. Then we should go. The intelligence officials reacted immediately. Absolutely not. The region will become unsurvivable. Elias met their gaze with calm steadiness that did not match an injured cargo engineer. For you, maybe? No arrogance lived in the words, only simple logic. That frightened them more. Syrinx closed his eyes briefly, feeling centuries of caution struggle against a single undeniable truth. The galaxy faced extinction-level loss, and the only unknown variable capable of change was standing barefoot on a medical floor, asking how to help. When he opened his eyes again, decision had replaced hesitation. Prepare a transport, Syrinx said softly. The officials stared at him in disbelief. You cannot be serious? I am, he replied, because if the precursors planned for this moment, refusing to act may be the greatest risk of all. No one spoke after that. Far beyond the station, the distant star continued collapsing inward, pulling light, matter, and history toward a silent end. And for the first time since the disaster began, the smallest possibility of hope started moving toward it.